If you've ever wondered what separates a normal deal from a great deal, you've came to the right place. This is Karsten here.
KJ Hoffman.
And this is The Real Deal. So we're going to start with our good friends, JT and Maddie. First-time home buyers, probably one of my favorite. You want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So JT and Maddie actually, so we talked about it a little bit in one of the last episodes, is it's never too early to start. And this is a classic example of that. These guys were first-time home buyers.
Yep.
Before they purchased, we met them at least a good year before. Met JT, he came to actually one of our networking groups through BNI. And we made the connection, really awesome guy, and we just stayed in touch. Like I would text him here and there, he would text me here and there, hey, we want to buy, we're just not sure. And it just slowly progressed, and literally over the course of a year, we finally got to the point where they're like, hey, let's do this, let's start figuring it out. And we got them a house, so it worked out.
You know, one of the things there too, though, is when you start to pop out kids, things change a little bit. I know that I didn't get my real estate license until I knew my first was on the way. Life gets a little more serious when you have kids. So a lot of times, especially with these first-time home buyers, you know, some people get the house first and do all their thing, but you know, you have kids, you want to raise them in a home, you know, you want to settle down. So we are integrated into these really impactful moments in people's lives, and that's also a huge reward for us. But the fact that we structure these amazing deals for our clients is what drives us forward. Like, we are incredibly competitive, and I don't think that will ever change. I want to win, and I want to win big time for my clients, and sometimes so much so that they're like, dude, I'm good with this deal, let's just run it. And I'm like, all right, fine.
Right. It's like, no, we can get it better.
And I'm like, yes, there's more we can get.
He's always thinking that he can get it better, which is a great trait to have for a real estate agent, because I work with a lot of real estate agents, and you know, some think that way, some don't. So.
I want more, but I want more for my clients, and in this case, this is a great deal. First-time home buyers, it's one of those things where the conversation for a first-time home buyer is so important because they're worried about everything. Sometimes I get clients that don't read the contract, they don't care. They're just like, Karsten, I trust you, and I appreciate those clients too. But in this case, they wanted to know everything, and it's okay to want to know everything. We're going to take the time to teach you, but sometimes there's things that you don't need to know as a first-time home buyer because they might not even apply to you. And so, for example, sometimes people wonder, oh, well, if you know the house is occupied and you might have to give the seller a few months after it closes, what does that look like? And it's like, well, let's not worry about that.
Right.
If it doesn't apply, you know. So in this case, you know, we were out looking at houses. As it usually goes, like none of the houses were great. Maybe a couple that we'd like, but they're over budget.
Well,
you know.
And I think in this situation too, they were looking in a specific area and they had a specific purchase price that they were trying to target.
True.
And sometimes when you're looking in a very pointed area and you only have so much to work with, it can be tougher to find those, you know, hidden gems essentially. And I think that's why Karsten is you know, so transparent and telling people that, hey, this isn't the house, right? We're going to find something else. And eventually we did find something where it matched the area they wanted to be in, it matched the price point and mortgage payment that they wanted to be in, and it really just ultimately worked out.
Right. And I tell my buyers too, I tell all my clients, like, I don't want you to settle. So like, we have a grading system when we look at houses, and I'm like, what do you give this house at a 10? And at first they don't know. They're like, oh, this house is a 6. And then they look at 3 other houses like, man, that house that was a 6 earlier, it's a 9 now.
Yeah. Or it's a 4.
True. Like, it's a sliding scale.
Right.
But the part I love is, you know, after doing that for so many houses, sometimes I don't even ask. They're like, this house is an 8. And I'm like, okay, great. And then they get into decimals and all this other stuff, so it's hilarious. But if you don't like a house 9 or 10, I don't even want to consider making an offer. Some people are like, hey, it's an 8, but like, let's pursue it. I'm like, I don't want you settling on a house. And they wanted a 4-bedroom. And I agree. If you're going to buy a first home and you have a 3-bedroom, let's get you a bonus space or a flex space, so that way in
Especially
2 years.
If you got kids coming or
right.
You know,
like, I just want to make sure you have room to grow, because I don't want to hear from you. Well, I do want to hear from you. I just don't want to hear from you in 2 years. Like, we need to move. Like, this wasn't a good purchase. Like, I want to make sure we're accomplishing your real estate goals. And so we have that conversation. It's not just, hey, let's buy a house that's exciting. It's, what does your future look like? Is this a 5-year home, a 10-year home? Is this going to be a rental property? Is this going to be a step into the next property, so we can strategize accordingly? And so in this case, it kind of serves 2 purposes. It could be a good rental. It's on the golf course. He plays golf. He's trying to convince his wife to play golf, kind of like me. But he obviously loved it being on the golf course, great views of the mountains. And the kicker was, it was on the market for 86 days. Some people think, well, it must have an issue if it's on the market for 86 days. I would argue that sometimes it's the price, sometimes it's the agent, sometimes it's the property. Maybe Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, in this scenario, it worked out perfect that this house was on the market for a little bit longer, because typically what that means is you're going to have a lot more negotiating power, right? If they're serious about selling this house and it's been on the market for, almost 90 days, almost 3 months, if they really want to sell it, they're going to try to figure out a deal. So it gave us a little bit more leverage power. Also, with them being first-time home buyers and them wanting to be, again, in a certain area and at a certain price point, we had to try to hit their mortgage payment where they're comfortable, right? The last thing I want is somebody to feel like they're house poor at the end of the day. Like, that's super important to me. And I want them to not only feel comfortable, but extra comfortable, right? So us being able to get the seller concessions, so the credits from the seller, we were able to buy their interest rate down, and they didn't even have to pay for that. The seller paid for that. They also covered their closing costs. So all they came out of pocket was their down payment, and they were also able to get the interest rate paid by the seller to get the certain monthly payment that was extra comfortable for them. So they were like, hey, this is a no-brainer.
Right. And that's the thing, too. I think people shop, especially first-time home buyers, on a monthly mortgage. It's not just the price. And so you might talk to a lender, and they're like, well, you're approved up to $300,000. And it's like, or $400,000, whatever it might be. And it's like, well, guys, let's go look at a couple houses, because if I can get you $40,000 of seller concessions, maybe the interest rate buy down will help you be in a comfortable spot for the house or a better location. And so for the numbers on this one, it was listed at originally $525. We closed out at $512, a 3% concession, so just over $15,000.
Yep.
That covered all their closing costs, as he'd mentioned.
And a rate buy down. And just to touch on what Karsten said too, sorry, what were you just saying actually? I had
how great of a deal this was.
I had a point ready to go though. It was okay. I'm losing my train of thought.
That's all right. So I mean, another key detail is sometimes you guys don't get to see these houses, so you don't know what they look like. This one had a new HVAC system. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I was also able to negotiate a new roof. So it's like a brand new house. These guys, right. I don't want my buyers to have any unexpected expenses, especially large unexpected expenses after they close. So I'm going to cover those large ticket items when we buy a house, and we might manage some of the other things. So for example, they wanted to also redo their shower. And I kind of gave them the range. Okay, it might be $4,500 to redo your shower, but that's probably not as important today as getting you this new roof. And what people don't realize too right now is roofs infect your insurability or like your payments. And so coming from an insurance background too, I'm really leaning in on this. And like you're the one who typically facilitates the insurance payments and stuff like that.
Well, they actually got better insurance knowing that the roof is new. So that's a big thing. Is if you have a new roof, it's going to be based off of your rating for the insurance. And the thing that I do remember of what I was going to say is, just to go back to what Karsten was saying, is a lot of people will be like, well, what are my max approval? And sometimes people just want to know, hey, I can qualify for an $800,000 house. They might not purchase an $800,000 house, but they want to know that.
Feels good.
It feels good, right? And I totally understand that. But at the same time, I ask them, let's not worry about, the price of the house. What is your monthly payment goal? Okay, this is your monthly payment goal, great. And then you're looking at houses here. Well, let's see how we can get there. And if the path there makes sense for you, great, let's do it. If the path there doesn't make sense for you, then maybe we need to reduce the purchase price a little bit. Or maybe on the other end, hey, it's actually lower than what I was expecting. Maybe I can look a little bit higher. So really it comes down to the goal of what you're looking to get when it comes to a monthly standpoint, rather than, well, I just want to go look at a house in this range because that's, what I was told, or that's what I've been looking up.
Or I just want to buy a house, and like,
exactly.
I don't want you to just buy a house. I want you to buy a house that you love, that will be a good investment, that won't have any headaches in the near future. Right. And so as your team, when it comes to buying a house, we're going to have that conversation with you separately. We're going to have that conversation with you together. And so we're all in alignment. And so just kind of coming back to the numbers, I mean, overall, the house appraised, so we closed at 512, but it appraised higher than that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, it did. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but it was a couple $1,000 over. Yeah,
wasn't crazy. But when we were looking at structuring offers, I do tell my buyers a lot of the time, hey, let's not worry about the purchase price so much because it is subject to an appraisal. Mm-hmm. And so if the appraisal comes back low, I don't want you paying more than what the appraisal is saying it's worth. Let me go ahead and take care of that for you, but that's a problem for another day. So I typically want to challenge the value of the home and say, hey, let's either come up stronger and get more concessions to cover the closing costs, or to pay for that roof, or to help you with that shower. And let's get creative, because if we feel good about the value, which like I'll tell them, I don't feel good about the value, let's not offer this price. It could be a problem for later. But if we feel good about it, we're going to use that in our strategy.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that Karsten and myself are very good at talking to clients about is, everybody wants to win, right?
True.
When it comes to a deal, it's psychological. The seller wants to win and the buyer wants to win. So somehow we got to find middle ground. Sometimes that middle ground is let's secure as much as we can up front. Maybe we're not getting everything that we want up front, but at least get to the point where, hey, the seller feels like they're winning. They accept the offer. Once we get under contract, there are a lot of steps into it. There's an inspection, there's an appraisal. Those are the times where we can then punch back a little bit and be like, hey, based off the inspection, we want X, Y, and Z, or hey, based off the appraisal, it came in lower. So if you secure a little bit up front, feel like the seller's winning, you can then get more wins in the back end through the inspection, through the appraisal, things like that.
100%. And just piggybacking off that too is everybody wants to win, but what I find funny is I have some of those buyers out there that they want the home run. And then they want to go into wholesale deals. They want to go into pre-foreclosure. I'm like, you've never bought a house before. I can try to help you with that, but 9 times out of 10, that's not going to work, if not more.
Right.
So speaking, wearing my baseball tee today. This is nice and fresh and new. Triples are good too. Doubles are good too, especially if you're new to the real estate game. So it's like, hey,
a single and stealing second is good too.
That and honestly, I would say we get a lot of stolen bases with our process. But I want my clients to be really happy with the deal up front. So let's say we get a contract accepted and then the seller gives us nothing at all. I still want them to be happy with that deal.
Right.
Anything else we negotiate would be a bonus. And so a lot of times, my clients knowing that, it's like, hey, we got a good deal up front. We're not guaranteed to get any additional concessions or repairs, even though most of the time I do. But at the end of the day, understand, guys, doubles and triples are good in the real estate space. Everybody's looking for home runs. I'll tell you what, right now, they're just swinging and missing and swinging and missing. They're not taking chances. They're not even going to bat. So think about that. If you're looking to make a move in the next year, real estate wise, we can still help with wholesale deals. We can still help. We're investors ourselves. We're in the real estate space. So if you're looking at pre-foreclosures or something creative or adding value, we've done it all.
Absolutely.
But
land loans, building, anything you can imagine. But yeah, we get a lot of people that want to jump into it, and that's super exciting because I think real estate is an incredible vehicle. I've used it. Karsten's used it. But like anything, comes down to education, right? You hear all these things and these tidbits. You might even hear some of these tidbits,
right,
and you're like, wow, that sounds awesome. But there are details to it, right? So these videos are made where we want you to have a blanket understanding of what we're talking about. But if something interests you, reach out to us so we can tell you more of the details because there are a lot of education pieces behind buying a house rather than just getting a home run.
Right. And the final note is get in the game.
Yep.
If you're not in the game, then how can you ever get the home run? So I've had deals that are singles and doubles, and I've had deals personally that are home runs. But if you're not in the game, you're not going to get there. So I think final note is super stoked for these buyers, and we're super excited for you when you go to buy a house. Reach out to us, and we'll see you on the next episode.